Hi, Mike Matchett with Small World Big Data, and I'm here to tell you today how you can save money on your cloud computing for real. Having trouble figuring out what your reserved instances should be, optimizing that cloud spend? We've got a solution for you today. I am here with DoiT. They're an MSP. They've got this offering called Flexsave, and it's going to help you, no matter who you are, if you're using the cloud, save money, because we know when we use the cloud, we're not getting every last dollar out of it. We're wasting our utility computing opportunities. We're not doing the capacity planning we need to be. Sometimes it's impossible. They've got a solution to help us with. I've got Spenser Paul here. Welcome, Spenser.
Thank you for having me. Good to be here.
All right, let's start with just a little bit with what who DoiT is. What do you guys do? You're an MSP, but what does that really mean to folks, and how should they think about DoiT?
Yeah, it's a great question. So a lot of times you'll have customers or companies who have never heard of this company called DoiT, but they've definitely heard of Google Cloud Platform or Amazon Web Services. And you can think of DoiT as an augmentation to what those technology companies do really well. We are primarily a team of engineering expertise that kind of exists to help customers get squeeze every dollar they can out of everything they spend in the cloud, and to make sure what they're doing can be done in the most cost-effective and useful way possible. That is easier said than done. We've been around for about 11 years, and we've run across a handful of challenges over that time that we try to replicate and use what we've learned in one instance to make sure that the next customer to run across the same challenge can do it more effectively the next time.
All right, I've been a capacity planner in my lifetime. I've done the hard work of trying to make predictions and figure out what to use. And there has been a lot of discussion with peers that I've had over the years about cloud. And they tell me, some people, I don't need to do capacity planning because the cloud's got this utility model. It scales up and down and I just turn the switch. And then other people say, I never get the performance I need to out of cloud. I got to bring some stuff back on-prem. I don't know how to turn the dials. And other folks are going like, yeah, I thought cloud was cheap, and then I get the bill, and oh my, it's so big. What are some of the problems you see with people just using Google and Amazon straight up to get their cloud compute?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I talked to a CTO once who told me that I love the cloud. It scales to infinity. Unfortunately, my cloud invoice scales to infinity to the second power. So this is a very common challenge, regardless of how familiar a company might be with the cloud. The whole promise of the cloud, if you think about it, is elasticity, global scale. You can run it on a single engineering team in a single location, or have a massively distributed workforce that all utilizes the same resources. It's a massive promise that's hard to realize in reality. So what we find a lot of customers going through is this buzzword of digital transformation. How can I do what I was doing in a data center and just, God forbid, lift and shift it to the cloud? You can do that, and plenty of customers and companies have done that. But the challenge is that these core applications that were written to run really effectively on a data center that's private or a colo or something similar usually don't run nearly as effectively in the cloud. So before you do a replatforming of that application, or before you change code to run more effectively with all the benefits of the cloud, getting to the realization of those benefits requires some sticker shock at the beginning. And that's where Flexsave and what DoiT provides is actually the most useful and important, because this is, like I said, not a matter of how advanced you are in the cloud. This is something that everyone experiences at some point, and it's a pain point that's been so recurrent that we decided to build a solution to address it.
All right, you mentioned the name of the solution, Flexsave. We're going to come back to that in a second. Let's just talk really about the core concept here, which is when I go to the cloud and I check out a compute instance, I can pay a spot price for it, an on-demand price, which is got one sticker to it per hour, or I can make some commitments, and the longer term commitments I get, generally the cheaper price I get. And so the game really is, what can I commit to ahead of time to get me the lowest price that I'm sure I'm going to use, because if I overcommit, I lose money, and if I undercommit, I'm losing money, right?
Right. So the challenge there is the commitment piece. If you're new to the cloud, or if you're trying to just better manage your bill, cloud providers like Amazon and Google and Microsoft, they all provide discount mechanisms, but they all come in exchange for a commitment. So if you're not ready to project what your costs are going to be 12 or 36 months down the line, you're put in a pretty uncomfortable position. Of course, you don't want to pay list price. You want to get whatever discounts are made available, but you might not be comfortable with a commitment when you're brand new to the platform, or when your growth trajectory looks off the charts because maybe you're a startup that's gone through some growth funding rounds. You don't want to commit to that growth being sustainable. You ultimately want to reduce the amount that you spend in the cloud and make it more operationally efficient. But getting from A to B takes some time, to be sure.
So we either got to have a much better tool to help us do capacity planning and figure out our commitments, or really search for some way to get the promised elasticity out of that utility pricing, where I can actually turn it up, turn it down, and get the cheapest price, right? And those are kind of hard things to do. So you've solved this for your customers, and I want to. This is kind of an interesting point. So do it for your customers. Flexsave is something that really helps. But now you brought along Flexsave, and you're saying this isn't just for your MSP people who use you as an MSP, right? This is something anybody can use. Can you explain that concept to me?
Yeah, happy to. So our history at DoiT is, as you mentioned, as a cloud MSP. So that's traditionally engineering support to help, whether it's capacity planning or DevOps teams, kind of get more efficiency and do what they're doing more effectively on AWS or on GCP. That is still our core business. As a part of what we offer to customers, we've also introduced this product called Flexsave that previously was kind of available as a part of the benefits of working with DoiT as a resold customer. What's recently changed is we've made the Flexsave particular solution available to customers of all shapes and sizes, because as you'd understandably encounter, many customers and companies might be on a committed contract directly with Amazon or with Google, or they might be working with another of our colleagues in the MSP spaces, and so they'd be unavailable for us to have as a resold customer. However, we want to offer Flexsave to those companies all over the world, regardless of how large they are, as a standalone product. And that's where the kind of newness of this going GA a couple months ago comes from. The product has been around for a long time and has, hundreds, if not thousands of users already. But now we're making it more unbridled by the constraints of a reseller relationship.
Yeah, I'm not even sure how to describe this sort of market category. So Flexsave is a SaaS service you're really offering outside of having to be a MSP client of yours in terms of getting all the expertise and services, but you certainly will take that business too, I'm assuming.
Of course.
But this idea of Flexsave. So tell me now, let's get into it. How does this Flexsave service save me if I've got 100,000 Google or Amazon instances? How does it save me money if I'm unable to really do that perfect capacity planning job?
Yeah, it's a great question. So backing into an answer here, if you think about your cloud spend, generally speaking, up to 70, sometimes 80 and plus% of that will be core infrastructure. That's just compute nodes running on either EC2 with Amazon or Google Compute Engine on Google. That comprises the majority of your spend. And again, you have the ability to get discounts as long as you're willing to make a commitment to either 1 year or 3 year reservation spend on either Amazon or Google. Now that position gives you some autonomy, gives you some power to get away from list price, but it comes with a very uncomfortable requirement of a commitment. Flexsave is intended to give you the best of both worlds. So you can generate the same savings that you would get as if you did commit to a 1 year reservation cost without making that commitment. The way that it actually works is that DoiT, as the provider of the service, is actually making commitments on your behalf. So you will never have to commit to compute resources in a region or a zone or a machine type. We make those on your behalf, and we simply apply the savings to your instances. So we can get you out of a position where you feel constrained by having to make a commitment, or if you're a capacity planner, this is something that is tantamount to your success. How can I make sure I get the best rates without putting us in a risky position? And this only becomes more important in times like this. We're seeing interest rates rising. We're seeing economic slowdown in a number of different industries and segments. And so for those companies, the proposition of having to project and predict and commit to 12 or 36 months from now is a really uncomfortable position. So unfortunately, a lot of them choose not to commit because they don't know
And they
where their
just
company is going to be in a
they
year,
just
and they end up paying through
this
the nose for their compute usage. Yeah.
So there's really two things. There's really two things here I want to lift up. One is in order to do that for a customer, you have to apply some pretty sophisticated expertise in analytics and machine learning, right? You look at their data stream, you look at everyone's data stream, and you can figure out and project and do some things. And you've got some safety margin because you're doing it in aggregate, so you can actually you can take advantage of averages, right? So being smart is one thing that you guys have done. Is that right?
Yeah, I would
I
say
mean, that's
that's
not even really a question. I'm just sort of flattering you. Okay. All right.
yeah. There's a lot of R&D and a lot of machine learning technology that these cloud providers provide that we turn around and then use to provide services like Flexsave to our customers. So it's definitely been a longstanding project that takes a lot of scale and a lot of resources to make work.
All right. And you can apply that both because again, you're looking as an MSP, you're looking across a lot of customer usage, right? So you're kind of aggregating all that information. So the second thing is when you make a commitment on behalf of the customer, and I think this is important to be clear, you're not committing that customer. You're you do it are committing to the service provider, Google or Amazon, to get that
That's correct.
discount. And then you're giving that discount to the customer for some period of time, but it's not necessarily a commitment to them.
Correct. From a customer perspective, you get away from commitments entirely. You
Okay.
want to put a company who is worried about that in the first place in a position where they can avoid commitments entirely. Now, of course, customers can still elect to make commitments if they'd like to. We don't remove that ability at any stage. But in order to generate the savings of a 1 year reservation by using Flexsave, it is as simple as it possibly could be, meaning Flexsave does not cost anything to use at all. It's
Okay.
zero cost to use the tool. You don't have to be resold by DoiT in order to utilize the service. You can simply give us a call and we can help you get you set up. And after setup, which takes all of 20 minutes, once you're at that stage, you generate 1 year reservation costs for all of your compute. That's to say around 30 to 35% reduction in what you're invoiced for those compute usage without having to commit anything at any point. If your compute usage changes, as we know it does over time, say you go through an optimization phase or maybe you migrate between different clouds, that's usually going to put you in a position where you're over provisioned on your commitments. With FlexSave, you can move compute usage as you wish while still generating the same savings as if you'd committed to that over a long period of time.
All right. So you're really smoothing that out for the individual client, taking the discounts at the larger level, making the reservations at the larger level, and then allowing everybody at the smaller pooled level to take advantage of that. Now you mentioned that people don't have to be resold by you. So if I just have my Amazon account or my Google account, I keep that. I keep my compute instances. I'm not even migrating those. You're not touching my instances even, right? You're just
Yeah,
looking at my usage patterns and applying discounts back to me.
exactly. So a lot of companies who might be interested in FlexSave have this question. They say, great, I understand what FlexSave is, but what level of access do I need to give you? Are you going to have access to my underlying infrastructure, to my network IPs, to my metadata? Absolutely not. The best part about FlexSave is it's very non-invasive, meaning that customers don't have to modify anything with their existing infrastructure at all. The only thing that we require is the ability to add and remove discount mechanisms to their existing environment. But that doesn't require any access to their data or their architecture that they have set up. It's simply a privilege that we request as a part of the sign up process. But as long as we can add and remove those discount mechanisms, customers have no other noticeable changes apart from obviously their invoice being lower than it was the last month.
All right, so just in an analogous way, if I go to Amazon and I'm buying something, and there's that little box that says check here to get your 2.99 coupon applied to what you're buying, I'm foolish for not checking the box, right? If I don't check the
Yep.
box, I don't get the $3 back. Why wouldn't I check the box? Why
Yep.
wouldn't someone here, Spencer, be using FlexSave then?
Yeah. I don't mean to sound glib. I think we're one of the better kept secrets in the cloud computing industry. We've been doing this for a while, and for companies who've worked with us for a while, this is kind of what they expect. But generally speaking, I myself am not familiar with another cloud MSP that provides these services free of charge. I'm not familiar with another SaaS provider that provides discounting with no invasive practices whatsoever, with all of the necessary security and compliance checks made. So we have, I should mention for those who might be security minded, SOC 2, ISO 27701, as well as GDPR compliance for Flexsave. So for companies who might say, great, that sounds great, but my InfoSec or CISO would never allow it, we've made those conversations a lot easier as well. The simple way that the tool works is meant to be as uninvasive as possible, so that customers and companies can get the same savings they expect without putting themselves in a risky position.
It's really, apply the coupon at checkout to my monthly invoice, right? You're not doing anything else. Man, I wish I could get a cut of this myself there, Spenser, for telling us this, but you need to check this out, folks. If you've got any cloud usage in Amazon, if you've got any cloud usage in Google of any significance, and you're not doing that perfect capacity planning job with it, you can save money today. Check it out.
Exactly.
Spenser, if they want to know more, if they want to check it out, what would you suggest they do first?
I would say to check us out online. We're DoiT-intl.com/Flexsave. That's the website you can find us on. There'll be a nice little explainer video there. And the best part about this is we've talked to plenty of organizations who say, this all sounds like a good sales pitch, but how do I know what it will actually save me? My cloud environment is different. And look, we would be irresponsible to go to companies and say, we know we can save you X% in every single scenario, because every architecture looks different. Every reservation schedule looks different. And we understand that for customers. This is why the first part of checking out Flexsave involves a very tailored estimation. So that you can see really quickly, what do I stand to save if I started using this zero cost tool called Flexsave? So you'll be able to get a real dollars and cents rationale behind it before you get even into the enablement piece. So that estimation tool is already available to anyone who finds it on the website. And we'd love to make sure we can answer any questions and follow-ups as they come up.
So you can check out right now how much money you could save, and you could be saving that money by tomorrow on this. Thank you, Spenser, for being here today. Guys, check it out. Why not? Click the coupon. Take it. Take the money. Thank you for being here, Spenser.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Take care. Take care.